Fisher was born in Philadelphia to Ukrainian Jewish parents. He became a school teacher and later served in the British Army's Jewish Legion during the First World War. On his return, he started working for a news agency. As a journalist, Fisher wrote for the New York Evening Post and The Nation. He eventually moved to Russia in 1922 and lived there till 1938, publishing many books about the Soviet Union. Fisher visited India in May 1942 for 2 months. During this time, he spent a week at Mahatma Gandhi's ashram in Sevagram. Here, he held conversations with Gandhi for an hour each day. Based on these conversations, Fisher authored a biography of Gandhi, The Life of Mahatma Gandhi. Indigo is an excerpt from this biography. The title Indigo is a reference to the exploitative indigo sharecropping practices common during the British rule that served as a catalyst for the Champaran agitation of 1917. This agitation was the first to be based on Mahatma Gandhi's philosophy of non-violent resistance and was a turning point in the Indian freedom struggle. In the story, Fisher chronicles the steps in the movement in detail, right from Gandhi's arrival in Champaran to the successful culmination of the agitation barely a year later. The story effectively highlights Gandhi's innate leadership skills and the contribution of ordinary Indians to the Indian freedom struggle. Here is a summary of the story Indigo by Louis Fisher. The author recounts his first visit to Gandhi's ashram in Sevagram in 1942. Gandhi offered to explain how he had decided to ask the British to leave India. In 1916, Gandhi had attended the annual session of the Indian National Congress in Lucknow. There, a peasant named Rajkumar Shukla from the district of Champaran approached Gandhi and asked him to accompany him to his district. Shukla had come to the meeting to complain about the oppressive landlords in Bihar and wanted Gandhi to help. However, Gandhi had to travel to other parts of India. Shukla accompanied him everywhere. When Gandhi returned to his ashram, Shukla followed him. Impressed with Shukla's resolve and his story, Gandhi told him that he would visit Calcutta a few months later and asked Shukla to meet him there. On the appointed day, many months later, Gandhi found Shukla waiting for him at the place agreed upon. They left for Patna by train once Gandhi was free. Shukla took Gandhi to the house of Rajendra Prasad, the future president of India. The servants recognized Shukla as a regular visitor. Assuming Gandhi to be another peasant, the servants allowed him to stay on the grounds along with Shukla, but did not permit Gandhi to draw water from the well, for fear that he was an untouchable. Gandhi then went to Muzaffarpur to gather more information. He stayed at the house of Professor Malkani, a teacher in a government school. Gandhi noted that it was rare for a government employee to help him, as most Indians in small towns were apprehensive about supporting anti-British agitators. As news of Gandhi's arrival spread, peasants from all over Champaran started to collect in Muzaffarpur. Even lawyers who had represented peasant groups came to meet Gandhi. Gandhi was appalled at the amount of legal fees charged. He declared that legal proceedings were not as useful as freeing the peasant from the fear of the landlord. In Champaran, most of the land was owned by the British, who rented it out to peasants under long-term contracts. The peasants were required to grow indigo on 15% of the land and hand over the indigo crop as rent. However, when synthetic indigo was developed in Germany, natural indigo was of little use to the landlords. The landlords offered to free their tenant farmers from the contractual obligation to grow indigo if they agreed to pay the landlords compensation. Many peasants who did not want to grow indigo quickly signed the agreements. Others refused to pay compensation, upon which the landlords resorted to thuggery. However, when the peasants finally learnt of synthetic indigo, they realized that they had been cheated and wanted their money back. Gandhi arrived in Champaran at this juncture. He visited both the British Landlords Association as well as the British Official Commissioner to gather information. They declined to help, and Gandhi went to Motihari, the capital of Champaran, accompanied by many lawyers. He continued his investigations, but was soon served a notice to leave the district immediately. Gandhi declined to obey the order. He was summoned to court the next day. The next morning, Motihari was crowded with peasants who had heard that a Mahatma who had come to help them was in trouble. Gandhi helped the officials control the crowd around the courthouse, thus providing the officials with proof that their authority would no longer go unquestioned. The local authorities, confused by this support for Gandhi, decided to consult their superiors and requested the judge to postpone the trial. Gandhi protested this move, admitting that he did disobey the order. He declared that he was there for a humanitarian purpose and thus could not leave. He demanded to be punished for disobeying the order to leave. The judge eventually postponed the judgment for a few days, allowing Gandhi to remain free without bail. Gandhi's lawyer friends conferred together and concluded that it would be shameful if they, the locals, left Gandhi at this moment. They informed Gandhi that they too were ready to go to jail with him. Gandhi was pleased and declared that the Battle of Champaran was won. Many days later, Gandhi received a letter from the magistrate informing him that the case had been dropped on the orders of the Lieutenant Governor of the province. This was the first victory for civil disobedience in India. Gandhi and the lawyers then collected evidence and documents from about 10,000 peasants before he met the Lieutenant Governor of the province, who finally agreed to set up an inquiry commission. Gandhi was the sole representative of the peasants in the commission. Confronted by the evidence provided by the official inquiry, the planters decided in principle to make refunds to the peasants. Gandhi agreed on a 25% refund, explaining that even this would help the peasant realize his rights and his powers. This came true, as in a few years the British planters left, leaving the land to the peasants. Gandhi thus dedicated almost a year to secure justice for the farmers of Champaran. But he did not stop there. He also strove hard to improve the social, cultural, and health conditions of the district. Volunteers from his ashram as well as elsewhere came to educate and treat people in the district. Though the Champaran agitation had begun as an effort to help poor peasants, it was important because it demonstrated the power of civil disobedience. Gandhi was always concerned about the practical problems of people, not mere philosophies. In addition, all his actions were focused on ensuring that Indians would make themselves self-reliant rather than depend on others. In the early days of the Champaran movement, Gandhi's lawyer friends wanted Charles Freer Andrews, an English follower of Gandhi, to stay in Champaran and help them. Gandhi refused and told his friends that asking an Englishman for support was a sign of weakness. He stressed that Indians would have to be self-reliant and learn to fight their own battles. Thus, we can see that helping the peasants towards self-reliance and freeing them from the oppression of the British landlords provided Gandhi with the perfect impetus for initiating the movement for independence through peaceful means. The main characters in this narrative are Gandhi, Rajkumar Shukla, the lawyers, and the British. Click each label to learn more about the characters. Gandhi's resolve is evident from the fact that he could not be stopped from investigating the peasants' conditions even when he was ordered by the authorities to stop his activities and leave the district. He was a true leader, as he did not instigate the peasants at the courthouse. Rather, he helped to control the crowd. Gandhi believed that the law should be equal for all. This is clear from the way he demanded that he be punished for disobeying orders. Gandhi's firm belief in justice extended even to those whom he opposed. When the landlords agreed to repay the peasants at 25%, he agreed, because he believed that the planters had lost enough authority. Gandhi was concerned about the actual problems of people. Even after the landowners agreed to refund the money, Gandhi worked to improve the overall situation of the peasants. The Indian lawyers depicted in this story were initially self-absorbed. They charged the poor peasants of Champaran excessive fees till Gandhi's words and actions forced them to self-introspect. When Gandhiji asked what they would do once he was arrested, they said that they would return home. But once they realized what Gandhi was attempting, they decided to follow him even to jail. Rajkumar Shukla was a peasant from Champaran who persuaded Gandhi to visit Champaran. The dominant characteristic that comes across is his unshakable determination. He was adamant about ensuring justice for Champaran peasants. Once Shukla realized that Gandhi could help, he did not waver till Gandhi arrived in Champaran. The British were exploitative, especially the Champaran landowners. They displayed no compassion towards the plight of the peasants or other Indians. They were only concerned about exerting their power over Indians. The landowners not only cheated the peasants of their money, but also tried to bully those who tried to expose them. Now let us examine the story closely. The setting of the narrative is in Champaran district of pre-independence India in 1917. The narrative speaks of a time when the British colonized India and exploited the resources as well as the people of the country. This was also the time when a group of educated Indians was trying to motivate Indians to resist the power of the British and to break free of their power. This background allows us to appreciate Gandhi's actions at a time when protesting against the British was a difficult thing to undertake. The primary theme of the story is how oppression can and should be resisted. Gandhi supported the peasants who resisted exploitation by British landlords. He even resisted the authority of the British who controlled India despite being foreigners. He demonstrated how oppression could be successfully resisted by non-violent methods. Civil disobedience could be an effective tool in oppressive situations. The narrative also depicts how ordinary people can be powerful if they stand and act together. The poor peasants of Champaran came together to demonstrate support for Gandhi and proved that the might of the British could be easily overcome if common people stood together. The story thus highlights the contribution of the anonymous Indian who until then had felt powerless against the British. Their efforts, like those of prominent Indian leaders, went a long way in securing independence for the country. A subtle theme running through the narrative is the effectiveness of leadership through negotiation. Gandhi effectively proved that he was a true leader in every sense of the word. He argued convincingly in favor of the poor peasants and negotiated successfully on their behalf. A notable point is that he never tried to humiliate his opponents, no matter how provocative their behavior. Now that you have an understanding of the story Indigo, let's take a short quiz based on it. Why did Gandhi finally decide to go with Shukla? Click the correct. What do the actions of Rajendra Prasad's servants towards Gandhi demonstrate? Why did Gandhi appreciate Professor Malkani? What were the peasants of Champaran protesting against? Why did the authorities ask for the trial to be postponed? What made the lawyers decide to help Gandhi? During his long stay in Champaran, Gandhi kept a long-distance watch on his ashram. What does this tell you about Gandhi?